Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Amanda and today we are here with a Hahnemuhle sketchbook review. I got this a couple of months ago and I'm super excited to share it with you and show you what I think about it. This isn't a sponsored video, I'm not getting paid to say any of this, but I just want to share it with you because I think that it's exciting to see what kind of sketchbooks can do what. So this is mine. I have covered it with scrapbook paper. It's watercolour from Hobbycraft, and I also have a sticker on there from ALLJArt as well, and one on the back too. So I am going to go through the things that I like about this sketchbook, the things that I don't like about this sketchbook, and I hope that you find it interesting, informative and fun to watch. I'm just going to be doing some doodles in here while you listen to me babble on about how I like this sketchbook, and I will wrap up my thoughts at the end of this video. Please comment below and tell me if you've used this sketchbook, if you like it. If you don't, let's get to watercolouring. Alright guys, so this is the Hahnemuhle sketchbook and the company is German. There is a lot of information that I could tell you about the company, but I'm going to link the website down below so that you can go and find that out. They tell you the history and all of that stuff of the company itself. I really do think that this company is a good company and it's been going since 1584, so I think that's crazy. I can't even comprehend that. Like, that's crazy. But if you want to know more about it, the description will have all the links that you need to know, including Jackson's art link for you to purchase this if you want to try it out for yourself. And I do recommend it, but we're going to get into the things that I like about it and the things that I don't like about it in this video so that you can make your own decision. The link that I have provided with you does give me a small commission, and it will not affect the amount of money that it takes from you, but I will just receive a small commission, and that helps me get some other stuff for me to review for you in the future. The paper that's in this sketchbook is fine grained and acid free, and it's also 200 GSM. It has 30 sheets, which makes 60 pages to paint on, so a lot of room there for you to work with, and it will last you a while if you're like me and just don't want to sketch in it, if you don't feel like you don't want to ruin the sketchbook. But I think it's awesome. This book is portrait, the one that I have. It does come in landscape as well, and it comes in a variety of sizes including A6, A5 and A4. I have the A4 version. No, I don't. I have the A5 version in portrait because I prefer the portrait ones. That's just a personal choice. Like, if you like landscape sketchbooks, then go ahead. I have used landscapes in the past and it just don't feel like it's for me. And I think that in the future, if I do buy a sketchbook or a watercolour book in the future, I think I'm gonna get a bigger version because I like more painting space, and I feel like I can be a little bit more free with my drawings when I use bigger books. It opens flat and you can paint across both pages as a kind of like panorama kind of situation. But I do want to mention that if you put a lot of water and paint in the middle of the sketchbook, then the holes for the stitches will cause the water to go through and bleed onto the next page. So just be aware of that. If you don't want that to happen, I would stay away from the edges or just not put as much paint in the edges of the paper. Not the edges, the middle, I mean. It has rounded corners, which I think is really nice in a sketchbook. I like it. I think it's more premium. It's not really, but it just feels more premium to me, and obviously it's less likely to stab you in the arm when you try and open it, which I've done in sketchbooks in the past. The watercolour itself does lay down very well. I'm using Winsor Newton on this particular thing. I've also used Schmink and the Prima Confections watercolours in it as well, and those do pretty well with that. So I think that the colour vibrancy is great no matter what paints you use. I've used student grade in this as well, and they go on it fine too. The paper soaks up the paint in a certain way that it's hard to get a smooth lay down of colour, but if you work fast you can get one that's not as patchy, but I do believe that it does cause some patchiness, but if you put down water first that helps with that. It has consistent texture on either side of the paper. Like you see, I'm drawing on both sides of the sketchbook right now, and it doesn't bother me. The texture is the exact same pretty much on either side, so you can use both sides of the paper, which is a big pro in my eyes, as I like to use all the paper that comes in a sketchbook, and I just think that if you're going to use a book you may as well use both sides. Like if you want to use single leaf then I would only use one side, but I think that it's good to have the option to be able to paint on both sides if you like that kind of thing. I do believe that this is good for pen and ink and quick watercolour washes. I don't think that you could go too intricate with it, although it does layer very well and it does take glazes well. Doesn't really lift the paint when you don't want it to, but you can also lift paint if it's still wet very well as well, so that you can get effects like that if you're painting clouds or whatever. And there's also pieces of watercolour paper glued to the inside covers of the book, so that means that you have a little bit more extra painting space, and I would recommend using this for swatches. Obviously you can use any part of the book for the swatches, but if you use those sides of the book for swatches then it means that you have more painting space on the pages to use for your actual paintings. There is a ribbon to bookmark where you are, which I think is really handy, because sometimes it's really annoying that you have to go through all your drawings at once to try and find the page that you're on. But I also like to look through my paintings as I open it again and say, oh, that's what I did before, maybe I can do it a little bit better this time. But it also has a little ribbon on the outside to keep your pages closed. On the topic of it laying open flat, it does, like I said, I do have to crack the spine a little bit, bend it back on itself to make sure that it lies flat, and I also put little washi tape bits. As you can see, I'm using red reindeer right now because I'm trying to get rid of my Christmas stock of washi tape, and I feel like it needs that just to keep it laying flat, because it does spring up a little bit if you don't do that. You could use clips as well, but I really like using washi tape on paintings, not this one particularly because obviously I'm just doing a bunch of random slices of kiwi, but if you are doing little thumbnails or you want to do a nice landscape, it's nice to have those white edges on the borders of the page, and it means that it doesn't curl as much, so it does take the washi tape, masking tape, painter's tape very well and doesn't rip up when you take it off. And that's it for the pros pretty much. As for the cons, a few people have said that it's hard to get a soft blend, but I don't actually think it is. Like I said, you have to act fast if you want a good blend, because you will get a patchy lay down if you don't, as the paper does soak up the paint quite quickly, so it dries quite quickly, so it's hard to keep it wet enough to do a smooth gradient and blend the colours together. The texture on the paper is very smooth compared to cold press. It's not very smooth, but it's smooth compared to cold press, so it doesn't really have that much texture. If you don't like flat watercolours, then I suggest you don't get this one. I was really frustrated with the lack of texture with it, and you have to rely on the granulation of the paint for the texture, because obviously you can't get it through the book itself, which is quite annoying because not all paints have granulation in them. The paper does buckle slightly, but if you paint with the washi tape on it and you keep it flat and then close it when you're done, the pages do lie pretty flat, but there is a little bit of wave in between the pages of the book. And it's not 100% cotton watercolour paper, which you don't really get much in sketchbooks anyway, but I thought I would mention that. just because some people might wonder. So it's not the best paper to work on, but I think as a travel companion for your watercolouring needs, I think it's really good, and I do highly recommend it, and I think I would get it again if I wasn't so obsessed with trying new different products to see what one's the best one. So yeah, if I don't find one that's better than this one, I think I probably would get it again, but I would prefer, for my personal tastes, one that has a little bit more texture in my opinion. Also, the front cover I did cover with watercolour craft paper, scrap paper, so it's not the actual canvas cover that it comes with, but it does have a nice cover that kind of makes it look a little bit more premium to be honest. So here I am showing you the other pages that I have done. Please tell me in the comments below if you've tried this watercolour book, and if you haven't, what ones have you tried, what ones do you like, tell me why you like them and I might try them for myself. Here I am showing you the way that it springs up after you've used it. And that's pretty much it for this video after this little clip. So